Hello, everyone, and welcome to F1 Live on Instagram Live on this Saturday afternoon. We are not far away from the replay of the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix. A couple of days ago, we spoke to Carlos Sainz, who, of course, finished on the podium. And today, we are going to be joined by a driver who had a phenomenal drive that day as well, also finishing on the podium with a monstrous drive. We all remember his elation, his screams in the radio on the slowdown lap. And hopefully in a couple of moments, there he is, Pierre Gasly. How are you, man?
Hi, I'm good. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well. How's lockdown treating you?
I must say not too bad. I actually I enjoyed the time at home with my family, with my friends, and training and all the preparation. So I must say I didn't get too bored. Of course, I'm missing racing so much, and I really hope we can get back to the track. But no, I must say it hasn't been too bad.
And I saw you spent some of it even on a go-kart. You managed to get out karting for a bit.
Yeah, so yeah, the first day we were allowed to go out, I managed to the track reopened, so I stayed in Dubai for 2 months with my coach, Pierre, who is still there right now. But we decided to stay there because I could not go back to Italy. All the airports were closed. I didn't really want to go back to my family place, just not to take any risks. So we stayed there with a good gym, and yeah, it was probably one of the best places to be during this time. So it was pretty good. And yeah, the first day the track reopened, went straight there, went go-karting, and then same when I came back at home, I managed to do 2-3 days so far, and again next week. So yeah, we try to stay busy.
How are your reactions getting back after like 2 months of doing nothing?
Honestly, it was fantastic. You know, karting is one of the best feeling in terms of driving, just pure speed, like just all the flow, the rhythm, and get back behind the wheel was amazing. So no, I really enjoyed it.
Good. What's been the strangest thing for you during lockdown? Has it been like sort of being in Dubai and being away from everybody, or did that make it a little bit easier? Did it feel like you were still kind of away traveling?
I think, yeah, for sure, probably the strangest thing was not to pack once a day. You know, I kind of opened my luggage and put everything in the wardrobe, and it stayed there for more than 3-4 days, and it kind of felt good, you know, just waking up every morning and taking the socks from the wardrobe, and which is something we don't really get used to do. So no, there was this. Of course, I was quite far away from all my family and friends, but yeah, of course, a lot of Skype and FaceTime, and just to stay connected with everybody. But yeah, just the lack of action. Usually that time of the year we travel so much. We take a flight every 3 days, and yeah, just to stay there, just have a constant routine, which is not my favorite thing, but just to do the same thing every day was kind of a bit different, but also enjoyable.
And normally you get told what clothes you have to wear. You know, you've got your team kit, and now
Yeah.
yeah, you get cooked for. You get told what to wear. Like, have you had to learn all of these things, like how to cook and all of that, or were you a pretty good cook to start with?
I'm not that good, so obviously it was a pretty good time for me to for self learning. So yeah, a bit of cooking. Actually, I followed your Insta stories and all your knowledge about your food, which was pretty useful.
Not healthy. Not healthy.
That's the only problem. That's the only problem. I think you cook well. You just need to change your ingredients. But no, I think was good. Yeah, obviously, I try to learn a bit more Italian. As yeah, the whole team is Italian, so I can understand, but I would like to speak better. So I try to take some classes. I try to work on my boat license, which I wanted to pass already since a couple of months, but didn't really find the time. So hopefully now I'm going to be able to pass it in the next few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, just try to, you know, we had so much time, which is something we don't really get usually. So I just try to make the best out of it.
So you're going to be one of these annoying people that comes out of lockdown having learned a language, achieved something in passing your boat license. What kind of a boat? Like a sailboat, like a speedboat, like a
more yeah, speedboat. So yeah, just normal boat license. So if you go on holidays, you can. I'm not planning to to drive my own, like I'm not planning to drive any yachts or anything like this. I just want to have my boat license so I can enjoy, like during the summer, if I want to go on the sea, I can enjoy the some good time. But no, I think you have two licenses I would like to pass, which I don't know exactly in English what's the specific name, but you have two licenses which could be useful for me, so I'll try to pass this.
Any desires to race powerboats?
No, F1 right now there is a big desire, and clearly I'm missing this way too much. A big desire for competition, because you know the last race was in December, and
Yeah,
every single day I'm trying to find an activity where I can beat one of my friends, just because I'm missing competition so much. So yeah, I think now it's been quite a long wait. And yeah, I think now it's looking quite promising over the next few weeks, quite intense, and I must say, like, really exciting time coming. So
yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously we had testing, and you can never read too much into that. But when we arrived in Australia, what were you expecting? What were you hoping out of that weekend, or was it just to sort of see if everything you thought you'd learned over testing was true, was real?
I think we had really good tests in Barcelona. Obviously, as a team and competitive people, and as competitive as I am, it's never good enough. So we always want to be faster. But I think we had more or less a view on the midfield. I think we probably didn't progress as much as we would have liked. Racing Point did a massive step forward and probably jumped ahead of us. So I think we knew that there was work to be done to really achieve our targets. But we didn't do any races, so I think it's still way too early. You know, after 2-3 races, you can maybe draw some early conclusions. But I think, yeah, we just need to hit the track. Now it's going to be completely different. Nobody worked, nobody drove a car for such a long time. So I think it's probably going to open a couple opportunities. So yeah, we'll have to see.
And this is the longest like any of you guys have gone without racing in your lives. You've been doing this since you were kids, like, you know, like every week or every other week for your whole lives. And now you've gone from December all the way through to, it's going to be, you know, July, August by the time you get in the car again. Are you going to be rusty? Are you going to, like, how do you keep yourself sharp? I mean, you've been doing karting obviously, but how do you keep yourself on that competitive straight that you know you can get in and just go?
I think there is such a big desire for racing and competition that, you know, like the motivation is probably higher than it has ever been, because, you know, we are, I think, all made for this thing, for Formula One, and to drive these cars as fast as we can. And we are kind of, at the moment, we can't do what we love and what we all want to do. So I think the motivation is not a problem. The way I think I've been even stricter in my lockdown period than I was before. So it was a really good time to work on nutrition, to kind of build a routine, which is difficult to have in Formula One with all the traveling and the calendar. So no, I think now I'm probably in my best shape, but obviously we don't drive. We haven't driven a car in such a long time. So it's probably going to feel kind of weird the first few laps, and especially coming out of the pit lane. But yeah, honestly, I can't wait for it.
Let's roll back quickly, because obviously we're here to talk about Brazil 2019. It's being reshown this afternoon. I want to take you through a couple of videos from last year before we take some questions from the fans. Don't forget, guys, get your questions in. We'll do our best to answer as many of those as we can. Brazil was amazing. Tell me about the race, how it came to you, your emotions during it, your feelings. Did you ever, or at what point did you actually know you were on for a podium?
Yeah, I must say that the end of the race was obviously the crazy part, but the whole weekend went pretty well. I think we qualified on top of the midfield, so we were seventh. We started 6th because Charles had a penalty, and yeah, it's always nice to, you know, it's kind of our pole position for us when we are on top of that midfield, and the target was to clear the build the gap early on, which is what we did on Kimi, was right behind and always putting some pressure on. And yeah, then after, I think Valtteri parked his car in the best possible way for us. So yeah, I don't know exactly what's happened, but the car got stuck. There was the first safety car, and from that moment onwards, everything went quite mental. So I just knew if I stay on track, I stay on top of the midfield, I just keep pushing till the end. If there is an opportunity, we're gonna be the first one to take it, as we did in Bahrain the year before. And in the end, that's what happened. We were third at some point in the last safety car. Then Lewis passed me with the new tires, and it was quite aggressive. I could see it was like yeah, clearly going for the win and trying to pass me and Alex as fast as possible. And there was the contact, which opened. We were forced, opened the second place, went there, and then had to defend the whole last lap. And yeah, it was pretty intense.
And we all know the strength of the Mercedes engine. You're coming up that, and people, I think, that have never been to Brazil don't realize how steep Yoncao is. You get there, and it's like that, isn't it? To have that Mercedes coming, I'm going to play the video, to have Hamilton coming up alongside you up that hill with the power of the Mercedes engine. What a drag race.
So when we started the weekend, we first ran the high downforce, and then we tried the middle downforce in FP2, and the two were more or less equal in terms of performance. But I always prefer to go with the lower downforce because it gives you a bit more top speeds and gives you more opportunities to fight, to defend, or to attack in the race. A bit trickier to manage with the tires, and we went for that middle downforce, which I think in the end was massively important for that last race. And another point is coming out of the last corner, I managed to save the battery.
Okay.
To have my full battery, which I pressed like straight out of the last corner. I pressed the whole battery. I tried to get low in the car, and was amazing because I crossed the line basically with almost the whole battery gone. It could have not been any better. So the whole timing was luckily was almost perfect for us, and yeah, it worked out for a couple of hundreds. And yeah, I think I could have not imagined a better finish for my first podium.
We heard your screams on the slowdown lap. I mean, you could just hear the passion and the energy coming out of you. But it wasn't just you, and it wasn't just your team. Everyone was delighted for you when you got back into Parc Fermé. It was just huge celebrations.
Yeah, I think obviously the first podium in Formula One is something. It's a big achievement, and especially in that weekend that I didn't really expect any podium with Toro Rosso. You know, before that they got 2 podiums in 15 years. So you always try to deliver your best, and maybe one day things are running perfectly and it happens, but it's not something you can expect every weekend. And especially after such an intense year, everything that happened, I was every weekend going for it. Okay, score points, deliver the best of yourself, perform at your best with the car you have, and yeah, to give the second best result for this team was amazing. So great memories.
It's fantastic. And of course, you were the toast of France, front page of L'Equipe the next morning. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty special. And I mean, especially something which was pretty funny when the youngest French driver on the podium was Jean Alesi before that, and there was Jean and Alain, and which for me are like 2 big legends of the sport. And Jean told me, okay, now you are the youngest French driver on the Formula One podium, 2 years younger than him, I think, which was something pretty cool to hear. And that was a great emotion. And obviously now it's not, for me, it's not something, it's past, it's done, was amazing. It's something for sure never forget. But not the target is just to reproduce this kind of emotions as often as possible.
We're going to take some questions from fans for a few minutes because there's loads been coming in, some great ones. What was your biggest challenge while racing? That's a good question.
So Well, talking about Brazil or just generally?
No, just generally in your career. What was your biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest challenges, especially younger, before I was backed by Red Bull, I didn't really know if I was going to race the year after, the season after. So it's a sport which cost a lot of money, and I had sponsors which also were limited to a certain point, and from one year to another, I didn't know if it will be enough to continue. So I always had the pressure to deliver the performance from early on in my career, because I knew, okay, if I don't perform, if I don't win, and even maybe if I win, it's not going to be enough. So I always push myself like this, but always feeling quite a lot of pressure early on when I was little.
Very good answer. Right, you've brought this one on yourself by saying you've been practicing. Can you say something to the Italian fans in Italian, given that you've been learning?
Okay.
Pressure.
Ok. Per la prossima gara vado a fare le interviste in italiano con Federica e spero che andrà bene. Spero che sarà bene.
Cool. I think even I understood that. At the next race, you're going to do an interview with Federica, and you hope it goes okay.
I'll try. But I'm not so good with the conjugation, so I mean with the past and the future. So it's still learning process, but I still have a few more weeks before we get to Austria.
You can still speak more Italian than I can, so
I know you're good. Even your French is good. You surprised me earlier. So.
French I can speak. Italian absolutely cannot. It's such a difficult language.
I think it's a difficult language as well. So.
What car do you drive when you're not at the track? This is a great question. You drive the fastest cars in the world for your job. What do you drive when you're not on track?
So in France, I have Honda, so really Honda cars, but I have the Civic Type R, and in Italy the NSX, so which is coming now. So yeah, pretty nice car. But I'm a big fan of this NSX car. So I've been trying to push for one. I managed to
nice.
And now it's a
classic NSX, Honda NSX, or the new Acura NSX.
No, the latest one.
It's a new one. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay. So and a Honda Civic as well, like Type R, probably properly fast.
Yeah, exactly, in France.
Of course.
I mean, it's fast enough. At the end of the day, you know, you cannot go really fast on the road, so it's difficult. But yeah, the NSX is clearly one of my favorites. So.
NSX is brutal, but the Civic is light, and so for the power,
Civic is really stiff. Yeah, the Civic is really stiff. I think it's around 330, so power. So now you can still have fun.
Yeah,
but the NSX is a step better.
NSX is the one, man. Goes like a scolded cat. Some good questions in here, actually. One of them, I'm trying to find it again. I'm just going through. I can't find it. I'm going to ask you, though, because I can't see it. Can I? Yeah, here it is. Who was the first person you called after your podium?
That's a good question. I just remember I got my phone like 2 hours after the podium. Mental. Everybody in the paddock was screaming, and I was celebrating. So yeah, probably my family, either my family or Caterina, my girlfriend, one of the two. But I was on my own in Brazil, only with my coach. I didn't have any friends or any family member with me. So yeah, one of them. Cool.
Here we go. Favorite pizza topping? It's always a good question.
Favorite pizza topping? Yeah, I'm a big pizza lover, actually, which is quite bad as an F1 driver because I can never eat any. But yeah, sometimes I do get some, and yeah, I must say I love burrata. I love the burrata. But usually I go quite simple, like just tomato, a bit of burrata, and I'm happy with that.
Nice. This is a nice question. We've never had this one, actually, and it's a good one for everyone out there during lockdown. Has lockdown made you more focus? Because I know a lot of us are struggling some days to find that focus, to find that motivation to get on and, you know, do whatever it is we want to be doing. But has it given you focus? Have you found it hard to focus?
Probably not. I think I really try to take this time as an opportunity to work on myself even more and maybe a bit more in detail. So I've always tried to push as hard as I could, but I knew in nutrition there were a couple of things I could do better. I knew in terms of physical training there were a couple of things that I wasn't happy, that I knew I could get a bit stronger. But as I say, with the calendar we have, the travel, the races, managing the energy, it's difficult to work on all these things, you know. So I think I took these 2 months. I said, okay, 2.5 months and still ongoing now. But with my trainer, really to say, okay, now we have a big plan. We have the chance to really improve myself, and yeah, let's make the best out of it. So no, I must say wasn't bad for me. I actually, that's why I enjoyed, because I feel I've progressed. It's not like I've wasted 2 months of my life, and no, it's been good.
Good. We're going to have to call it a day, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for answering so many fans' questions. Do you have any messages for your fans, for everybody waiting for Formula One to come back, as we sort of still go down through lockdown?
Yeah, guys, thanks for catching up. And anyway, we'll see you all in Austria. I hope we'll put a good show. We'll need your support as always. But no, I think it's still going to be an amazing season with a lot of races. I think the calendar they have planned is really intense. I think you'll enjoy in front of the TV, and hopefully we'll see you some of you guys on track before the end of the year. And yeah, I'll see you in Austria.
Lovely stuff, man. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Hopefully see you very soon. We'll get back to racing.
Try to cook some more healthy food.
Okay, I'll cook healthy food, definitely. Dude, thank you so much. Folks, enjoy the replay of the Brazilian Grand Prix 2019. For now, though, from Pierre, from me, that's your lot. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.